All right, call to order technology committee. Trailside connectivity follow-up. Everybody
has a copy.
I was just about to lay down.
Thank you. Okay, so first project, just a little background for those who may or may not know, is we leased that fiber line over the trail side. So basically, we piggyback from Evergreen over to Woodfield, from Woodfield over to the trail side. I'm sorry, to TDS, and then TDS over the trail side is how the data path goes. Originally, we looked at this because the monthly cost was pretty exorbitant at one time. The first time we started was at $1,500 a month. Since then, we have reduced it down to $1,000 a month, and now it's coming back for renewal, not till December this year. So why I'm presenting it now is just if we go with one of the options, there's some lead time that we need to build in. So with that being said, so I did talk to TDS to see, hey, here's what we're looking at, our different options. What's the best that you can, do for us at the current state? So if you look at the current setup, we're at $600 a month, and they were willing to go ahead and reduce that. I'm sorry, we're at 1,000. They were willing to reduce it to $600 a month. Okay. They also added on that we didn't have to commit for 5 years. In the previous contracts, they required us to commit for 5 years. They have built in that we could do 24, 36, or 48-month lease to renew that. The other option too, board members said, well, what other options do we have? Looked at a point-to-point bridge. So basically we would just bypass all the other buildings. We would go from right here to the water tower over to Trailside using a point-to-point bridge, which we've done in years past. Went away from it, just was inconsistent, but from what I'm reading and things that I've seen, that technology has improved. So that's where it says proposed solution number 1 is including that point-to-point bridge. And then the final solution is to look at just having our own fiber, if you will. The way it's built in, it's ours in that we can light up however we want, whatever optics we want to put on, no bandwidth restrictions. You'll go right to Trailside. Similarly, like we have between Evergreen and Fox River and the Woodfield. So we can control what bandwidth we push across there. So again, the reason I brought it is just it's coming up for renewal in December. But again, the last solution would take quite a bit of a lead time if we decide to go with that route. So,
just a question.
Yes.
You're telling me it's going to be 13.1, or what might be in there? Is that the bridge proposal plus 600 a month?
So what I'm proposing is that I'm not confident enough for the wireless bridge alone. We rely too much on internet and everything for everything we do learning-wise to go with the wireless bridge alone. I still feel like we need to continue with, we don't go with our own, to continue with TDS, and then maybe look at in addition what that point-to-point bridge would look like. That would give me some time to test, to push over traffic across the point-to-point bridge without having interruption in services, if you will.
Okay, but we wouldn't turn off TDS anyways until we have that working.
We wouldn't, no. It would. So we would. No, we had a contract till December. So we would, I guess, technically have kids are gone. Obviously, early June. We would have that time to take a look at once we put it in place.
I'm sure we can buy a Russian or Chinese military grade point-to-point bridge that would far exceed what we need for extremely low cost.
This is a 1 gig connection right now, but again, in years past, I just don't want to have us go one route and then just be stuck restarting the thing every time there's storms. Every time there was just like the running joke was, all right, running to the water tower to reset this or whatever it was.
I'm assuming it's going to microwave or something, so storms aren't going to affect it.
It's absolutely, but
I mean,
it was the power was the issue. It was more than
the
anything.
world runs off microwave color, so there's no issue that it wouldn't work.
I don't want to put all the eggs in one basket and be stuck,
But just to be clear, on that proposed solution number 1, the 600 a month is TDS.
It's TDS alone.
And then it would just be the investment of the 13,000 for the equipment
which is ours, right.
And how long you keep TDS and get rid of them.
What is the lowest term they'll go for?
24 months.
24 months.
Mhm.
Do we get any money back from them with the rate on it?
We, thank you, we would with any of these, which we currently do have year-rate money with any of these solutions, minus the point bridge.
But if we spend more, do we get more back in the rate?
No, based on percentage of free and reduced that we have, yeah.
Currently with TDS, the annual cost of $7,200, do we currently pay that, or is that proposed?
I argued against this 5 years ago when we did it, and we paid $40,000 out of our pocket in that amount of time and have nothing to show for it.
Right now, we're paying $1,000 a month.
1,000 a
And
month.
at the time, I said 40 grand, you can buy the best microwave antenna on the market and put it in, and we own it for,
I get that, I'm specifically talking about the annual cost of $7,200.
yep.
And it's,
Okay,
yeah,
I got,
that's
I see
a
what
new
you're
one.
doing.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
I
a
see
new
what
one,
you're doing.
sorry.
I got you. You just added it up, I thought there was an additional amount they were putting on top of it. Okay, I got it.
I think 7,000 to connect one building to the other one, when there's so much on the market to connect wirelessly for everything is ridiculous. So, it would be my, sentiment that we go forward with a bridge, hit it off the tower like we used to do, but we got better equipment, because now that was what, 15 years ago maybe we did that?
no, because we're just finishing up our 5-year cycle, so maybe six years.
Okay, well, I would ask this, how quickly could we do that? Because if we're not up until December, if we could do it fast, that would give us some time to see how well it worked and how stable it was.
Considering we don't have to refinish 2 floors at some schools that didn't need it. Apparently we got $15,000 out there.
Yes, you do.
Right, to afford it, but I guess I'm more talking about how quickly can we scale up the water tower and.
Actually, with that cost, that includes installation. I don't think it's something we would want to do. It's-
But what is the lead time or something like that to have it installed?
I would have to ask. them.
And I think we'd have to ask the village, what's the
That's
life
what I was
expectancy. I thought the original problem was that tower was going to be torn down.
We renewed that, they asked us if we would want to renew the lease, it was all of $1, I think, so it is ours for, I don't know how much longer, Chris?
5 years.
5 years.
I guess, because I do understand your concern, I mean, the amount the schools rely on the internet connection is huge, for that just to stop working, I mean, things just come to a screeching halt. But if we have until December, if this is something we could get in place quickly and test it until then, and, maybe through that period of time, flying colors, and everything works great, it's no problem, or it's a complete mess, and it's not gonna be reliable, and we would know that.
Absolutely.
But then, if we do know that by December, then we may feel confident in pulling the plug on TDS and going forward with it. If not, we sign with TDS, and that's just gonna be our lot in life.
And it's not like there are hiccups in our classrooms already when PowerPoints don't work or something freezes up, you just restart it.
I'll get to that in project two.
I thought you would.
We're going into state testing, so we could look at that like mid-May after state testing and map testing is done for the year.
Looking at this up on online has nothing to do with those. This will be up and running before those, it even goes online.
Oh, before you even take it
Well,
out.
That's why running and Google.
Yeah.
Okay.
Test
Yeah,
out.
we would be able to do
Okay.
it concurrently.
Yeah.
But if we could move fast enough, we could do it concurrently without having to sign a 2-year agreement.
You want to
with
see
TDS.
switch over. when
So
you
they could be
purchase
testing
it.
that.
Right, while we're still on a contract with TDS. Yeah, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Yes, no worries, yeah.
Panel 140. Wow, it's easy working. fine.
Equals any too soon?
Well, no,
So, what do you think? Move that forward? I say we recommend that we just,
I would love to hear, I'm sure you can shoot off an email to the company and say, what do you think of lead time to do something like this?
absolutely.
They might say, oh, it's gonna be 6 months, or they might say,
No, I honestly, 3 weeks lead time is what I'm thinking, honestly, so.
not to mention typically you have something like this, you're transmitting over 10, 20 miles.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're bouncing, what, 3 miles as crow flies,
Not even.
right? If you put the repeater up on the tower up there, you might be able to send Morse code with a string and a kite or something.
I feel more confident we have this much testing time than just say this is the way we're going. So,
right, okay, well, I have no problem in sending it to the board to approve the money, and
Yeah, I mean, I use wireless devices right now at 1,000 feet and have 0 downtime, and so I have no doubt that a microwave tower is going to get us 100%, at least 99.9.
Definitely no, for sure.
What about lightning strikes?
I'm sorry?
What about lightning strikes? I know only with the business I'm in, we do a lot of generators on cell towers, and we take a lot of lightning strikes.
That's why they make more generators.
No, we've got stuff built in that blows out for that, but
Yeah, but I mean, how many cell towers are there on the low light? Lightning strikes all the time. Cell connectivity.
so if we get a lightning hit, does it take us out?
We'll find out. No, I think they're supposed to be grounded, but, you know, yeah, we're gonna test it with this time, so.
Calling a lightning strike.
For how much you're saving, you can have a spare dish sitting in our room ready to go up.
Well, I think that'd be a question asked too, if they have this installed and
Yeah,
God forbid something like that does happen, how quickly can they have somebody else to replace it? Or there's always a service plan and everything.
so could you do this for us? Could you get that information?
Absolutely.
Turnaround time to repair?
Yeah.
And what they believe the uptime would be, what the distance transmission is,
How quickly they can have one up.
and what the speed, max speed we can achieve is. And how quickly we can have it
I
up.
mean, in the best of conditions, 1.4 gigs, in the best of conditions.
So let's write,
Yeah.
we need another one, put another up there, right?
Yeah.
So with all that said, you can have that to us for next month for approval, actually this month.
This month, absolutely.
Next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Basically, we're using a cabling company and they're a big outfit, so they'll have a pretty good idea pretty quickly, so.
All right,
Any other questions on that one?
all right, let's move on. Wireless upgrade.
Okay, so the next piece is obviously the wireless. We've implemented our current solution in '09. Things have been fine. Where we're seeing hiccups of late, and I've been kind of telling Chris for about a year now or so, just from time to time where we run into density issues and things like that. So as you can see, what we currently pay for supports, upgrades, if the controller fails, anything like that, that's what the cost is annually. It's $6,500. So what I'm asking you to take a look at is a new solution, which includes all the access points. They would all be in under AC. Currently, our solution does not have AC on our access points. The latest wireless there is. And the one minor change is, that was a budgetary number, and they did give me an updated. So the total cost is actually $44,000. And if you see the annual support contract is quite a bit different between the new and the old, and the current. Again, where we run into issues, and Mrs. Dealing and Mrs. Marco can let you know, and during language arts block, when everybody's getting on, we really see quite a slowdown because it's just not enough saturation. It just can't handle the saturation. The way we have it configured is we're actually channel layering every access point over at the middle school rather than just putting one up and it's supposed to automatically bounce into the proper channels. We actually have it in 1, 3, 6, 11 and just kind of map it out that way. We did a similar configuration over at Woodfield in the blue and green wing as well. It's helped. Again, it's manual, but I know Shirley still runs into some issues over in her wing as well with connectivity when all the kids are getting on, and if we're looking at adding more devices in the 6th grade wings, just looking at a newer technology would benefit us.
And now is this for all schools?
This is for all schools.
And
Yes.
the annual cost would be for all schools?
That's the total for everything, yes. So again, renewal's coming up. I wanted to see what your thoughts were. Would we want to continue paying support on our current legacy system, or do we want to look at something that includes the AC going forward as well?
Okay, what's the bandwidth increase?
These are AC, so it'll be a gig, whereas ours currently is peaks out at 10. Maximum of a gig with AC, but you're looking at 30, depending on how many people you have on, 25 to 30 megs an access point.
Okay. I guess the question is if it's only at a bunch of kids booting up at one time, is that what we see?
Yeah, that's part of it. There's a lot of really dragging that goes on.
Or what time of the day, and what are they doing?
It's a lot in the afternoon, don't know why I can, and we've talked about it, it's a lot of afternoon.
Somebody doing anything in particular in the rooms that's slowing down the rest of the
Well,
network?
one thing we've noticed, I think, with working with Jeremy and Cannon is during our lunch hour, we consistently have problems, especially with the 7th grade lunch hour, where we go down and we can't get our kids through the lunch, taking their IDs. I know that lunch is going on, we've got ELA all going on that end of the building at the same time. So lunch has greatly been affected. Jeremy will come down, have to reboot, do different things like that. So that's the time of the day, Dan, when we're putting a massive 200 kids through lunch in a matter of 10 minutes.
Okay, so my question on lunch one, is lunch running off wireless, and why wouldn't it be hardwired?
Go ahead.
Well, I believe it's running off wireless.
It is, we had to relocate, we relocated where it was hardwired, and then just better movement through the lunchroom.
Due to things we had to rearrange in the lunchroom in order to get the kids served in a faster manner, due to how we're enhancing our lunch program, the offerings we have, and the limited space we have to serve lunch. We only have one area as opposed to several areas in the elementary. We've had to do a lot of different finagling over there, and so we're running off a wireless over there in order to help the lunch program.
Okay, so can we get wired to take care of that solution?
Yeah, it's not a problem, we can put wires
I mean,
in.
if I go from the other end.
It's not just per, I mean, it's that same block that's affecting throughout the district, not
Right.
just Mrs. Markle.
Right, it's line.
It's when ELA is going at the same time, you guys have lunch, and then you have other kids coming back and working on things in the buildings. Again, if we're adding more next year to 6th grade, density-wise, I guess basically, do we want to continue to paying $6,500 in support on this one, and keep adding, or do we want to look at a new solution, I guess, was a big impetus along with some of the connectivity issues.
That would be the big part of it for me. I mean, if you, somebody can do the math, but the 6,500 less the 1,300, how many years that would take us to get to 44,000 that we're just basically spending on maintenance fees? I guess the other question I would have, these are single access points in the building. Do any of these solutions offer the ability to have repeaters or anything located around?
Actually, with this current sort of new solution, you wouldn't necessarily need the repeater. I mean, it is, and it auto channel configures, when there's interference. A big marketing thing is a beamforming around interference, those kinds of things. The high school had the same solution that we have currently. They actually switched to what I'm proposing.
Okay.
Much better improvement. Haven't heard of Peak, to be honest. Colleagues in McWanago had the same solution as us, and they stopped over. Alcorn switched away as well. So I just kind of balancing the costs we're paying to what we're getting. We want to take over.
How does this device look for long-term growth as we get more and more involved with online?
The beauty is that it's AC compatible now. The first iteration of AC is now. As it goes to the second iteration, with this solution, it's a firmware upgrade. It's not a get a new device like we would have to with our current solution.
Jeremy, did you want to say something? I thought you had your hand.
No, I was trying to.
I don't know what your thoughts are. We've gone over this a couple times in our map. We're mapped out, we're wired for 1 gig everywhere, right? Especially in Fox River.
We're wired?
We're wired for it. We've got the capability on the wiring.
Not in every room. Physical ports, you mean?
Physical wiring in the building getting to the access points.
Yeah, they're all pre-wired, and we wouldn't have to wire anything else to
I'm saying you
access
have to
the
swap out
unit.
all your wires. You have to-
No, it's just replacing an access point.
Okay.
Exactly. We wouldn't have any wiring costs. This is almost a one-for-one where they're already in place, but we put these in.
I'd still say if there's hardwired things that can be hardwired, they should be hardwired.
Absolutely, and that's again back to, that's why I didn't want to go just on a point-to-point bridge. I like wired, and we do. Labs are wired, everything that we can, we do.
Yeah, that's a dedicated thing. We get back to these. I mean, the building, having everybody on Wi-Fi for the sake of having them on Wi-Fi is not necessarily the best way to do it.
Well, every kid with a laptop, I don't know how they're going to
I understand
get
that.
around that.
Again, if it can be wired, it should be wired. If it's something meant to be mobile, it should be mobile. But if you have a fixed spot for a lunchroom thing that's used every day, right?
That would only be about one computer, but I mean,
Yeah,
everything else is pretty much mobile.
things that don't move should be wired.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I don't see a problem going forward with it. Keep in mind, this will last 3-4 years until somebody redesigns something else, so. I mean, the last one, we spent how many tens of thousands of dollars on that wiring? And this is 4 years later. So,
I guess at the end of the day, for me, it's two things. It's one, you know, that we have the capacity to do things we need to do, but two, I hate to see us waste that kind of money a month on support fees
I agree
for
with
something
that.
that's not adequate.
Yeah, that's why originally with the TDS thing, I was completely against that.
Right.
I mean, just wasting money for the sake of wasting it for, support and upgrades is ridiculous. So, in that case, how about money-wise, how do we go? Do we have money in the budget, people? No issue? So, and either we just go to the budget, or great this year, so either way we go, we can reallocate for it, so I would be in favor of the company. So it sounds like it's a 2 positives going forward to the board for approval. Are you gonna have enough time to do all this? You're gonna have a service obviously come and swap these out, I'm assuming?
No,
No, you're not good.
we'll do it.
You have enough time to do that, and all the new computers and all the, other things?
The nice part is everything's wired. That would be the hardest
Yes.
part. This summer, we spent a lot of time crawling and
Yes.
putting in wires. So that part, the legwork is done, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, next one you got?
The 6th grade hardware piece, we probably looked at this late fall, we discussed it, and then we talked about, why don't you go try a couple different things with the current machines. Again, I know Danny weren't for it, but we did add solid state drives into the machines. We put in, maxed out at 4 gigs. We just didn't see the performance we were expecting out of those machines for what we spent. So in any case, if we were to move these machines down to the 6th grade, if you look at that first column, we would need to look at replacing those batteries, and then we need a place to charge these. And this is actually reusing 3 of our carts that we have that was donations from last year. So that's 6 carts, and then those are also, cost includes the battery in the first column. The second, where it says proposed solution number 1, that's looking at a similar device we did in the grades 3 through 5, the Chromebooks. And again, that includes the device and the carts. And then the second solution there at the end is, again, Chromebooks. And actually, we saw these, Jeremy and I saw these at the conference, and they were really, really solid. They took and just literally dropped them from around on the ground. That's not been my biggest thing since we spent so much time on repairs, how much time we spend, and drop it on the ground, pick it up, ready to go. So very rugged. And again, it's a Chromebook, and that includes the cost of parts and licensing. And again, looking at those two, that's a 4-year solution. Looking at the first column, those aren't going to last longer than a year and a half. So, not to mention this summer, last year we spent a month just sitting and repairing everything. I don't foresee that amount of time changing this year.
Does it just come down to the abuse, the 4-year span?
Absolutely.
It seems like such a short period of time.
It hasn't been 4 years.
But, well, we will, this is our completing our 3rd year, yes.
So, I value you very much, and I'm gonna start with that. Always start with something positive, right?
All right.
I think I've heard before, these are great units, heavy duty, even with the upgraded version because they're business class and they're gonna last for a long time and everything. Although I agree with you, they probably show it at the show and they drop it. If they had some students closing pencils in them and picking at them all day long, I'm sure we're gonna get about the same quality out of the Google ones as we've got currently out of the current ones. That being said, I'm not opposed to a different unit. But I think, being the fact that those are only 3 years old, spending the $20,000 and keeping them for a year is cheaper than another $60,000 out of it. And right now, I think you're going to start watching pennies a little bit. Things that reduce costs, such as the TDS or the wireless upgrade, over long-term, even short-term, for monthly outlays is a good thing, but just spending it right now on a hardware upgrade for sixth grade, just to spend it, I don't see that as a good solution at this point. A year from now, when we kind of whittle some more of those out of there, I think we'd be fine. But again, I'm one of those, I have a computer forever, I don't take that great care of it, but I think my computer's running on 6 years old, but I bought the best one at the time. And it wasn't a business grade, it was a standard. But I do know that the students are pretty hard on the computer, so.
And again, keep in mind, the build date on those is in 2007,
I'll
so.
say those were refurbished, they were not new ones when we purchased them.
Right.
Refer,
Yeah.
and took care of us for the first few years, and then we get a lot of free stuff.
Yeah. So, I think again, performance-wise, I mean, if you look at the memory that's in there, again, the build date of 2007, 2 gigahertz speed on those, and you just gotta look at instructional time as well as support time. That's gonna go into it. I respect whatever way you guys decide to go.
I might just say, I'm respectful of what you decide, but obviously I have computers in the building right now. They're slow, they're clunky, they're heavy. Anything that we could do, I would really, sending them off to my 3 colleagues here, I would be frustrated as a receiving of, as I watch my kids. And I'm very gracious that we have the computers. Please don't say I don't like them. I'm not saying that, but if there's anything that we could do to enhance the 6th graders, and I know the work that they're going to have to do this summer to get the 40 best, or whatever the number is that's going to the buildings, is going to require some work. So once again, I respect what you guys want to do, but I understand because I live and breathe it every day with these kids with these computers. And I get them up because I want to look at something, and I would sit and watch it spin and spin and spin and spin, and then we talk and talk. And there's just some things that, it's something new, but once again, I'm respectful. That's just some feedback.
Having a couple at my house usually just about every night, even from last year to this year, they're a lot
Yes.
slower.
Absolutely. 1 year, it's amazing what 1 year.
And many of the things they're required to do between Moodle and then putting something into Google Docs is you toggle in between the two
Yes.
to do that. I mean, I think my daughter could probably make dinner in between both.
You're
Time
right.
is a significant amount of time.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
you've got some, so
They're very slow.
and from, like I said, last year, I've got one that's in 8th grade. She had me sitting up last year, and it was, you look at, yep, this year she's sitting at the kitchen table, and I'm like, it's not so.
My question is though, these are electrons, they don't get tired as they get older. And don't get me wrong, I value your opinion, what you're saying, but they don't get tired when they get older, so there's something wrong in the configuration of that computer. One problem will be, as I do know that solid state hard drive, depending on how they utilize it, will eventually degrade because solid state doesn't mean it lasts forever. But the issue is there something wrong in the settings of that computer to not allow it to communicate?
We spent an extensive amount of time, honestly, when Kevin was here, he did a phenomenal job making sure everything was up in tip-top shape. That's the best imaging we've done in this past summer, last summer, and we didn't have to touch them afterwards as far as post-imaging, anything like that. So they're as top as we can get them to go.
Yeah, no, and I don't doubt the imaging will be correct, but when you say you pick up something, it sits there and turns, what is it doing for what services are running?
Well, it doesn't
A
help.
lot of questions.
A big issue is that the hard drives on them are getting old. And with the kids and their book bags and everything else, it's just like a record, we start pounding that pin on the platter, it's just gonna eat up the hard drives. And that's costing, that's gonna cost you more money in the long run too, because it's still a hard drive, it's still gonna cost you about $50 to $80 just to replace hard drives on these computers.
Right, so, but I mean, if you have a computer that's constantly searching like that, you can run a hard drive scan on there to verify if the hard drive is ready to fail.
But I guess even regardless of the hard drive itself that's in it now, you've taken a few of these like we talked about. You probably didn't, because I think this was my suggestion to look at, so. You took a couple and you put new solid state drives in them, you put new batteries in them. And even after doing that, you felt performance-wise may be better than what the kids are experiencing now, but isn't what it needs to be.
And I don't think it's worth the cost of putting all that in for a college sport. I mean, I was expecting a lot better, and it wasn't.
I would have too.
Yeah, and I gave it to Jeremy to let actually some students try it for a while, and you can speak more on that, Jeremy.
It's mostly like the bus speed. The computer can only go so fast with the technology. So, I mean, computers now almost run at 1 gig bus speed, and those ones are only 400 megahertz. So when it's running through the memory and the hard drive, it can only cap out at that much. You know what I mean? It's like putting a slower engine. You know, it's just not gonna. You can't put any more horsepower underneath that to get what you're trying to do.
Now, to speak to Dan's concerns, would you say what the students are doing now is more demanding of the laptop than it was 5 years ago?
Well, it's only 3 years. Yeah, it's only the third year.
Instructionally, it should be. And I just wanted to add one other thought that I think it's important to think about is the K-2 teachers, the students, it's important to look from the student's viewpoint, but also the teacher's viewpoint. The K-2 teachers have gotten iPads, the 3-5 teachers have gotten Chromebooks, the 7-8 teachers are. So I personally would feel bad for the 6th grade teachers not to have a device that is relatively new, if it is possible within our budget, because those other computers could be used for smaller things in other classrooms. All the time, those teachers are saying they need to have access, but I just think you gotta think about, okay, the 6th grade teachers are the only ones who haven't gotten a new device.
Oh, and
Since I've been here.
I definitely appreciate that. And I guess
Yeah.
when this originally came up, the idea wasn't so much that they'd have to be given old junky computers. It was, let's take the shiny, good-looking ones, because we only need a small subset of them. Let's put new components in it. Hopefully that delivers us an, adequate machine, or better than adequate. And that was kind of what we tasked Cameron with checking out. He did. And now he's kind of coming back and saying that wasn't as we hoped. I guess the other question I have is, in our long-term plan, this is this is in the plan right now, 6th grade.
Something we had decided in the plan is 1-to-1. Chris, I don't know if that came up during the year or from the board, more access, but we have to look at replacing the machine, so.
This would be a 1-year deal that we would use them for 1 year, and then we would be looking at getting newer upgraded
Doing it now,
machines.
do we want to spend the money on 20 grand on that, or getting them new?
One thing that I'll be talking about a little later is some additional materials for literacy, and they are some pretty high-powered literacy materials, so that would be something that we want to take into consideration too when you.
I guess my personal hope wasn't that we were just going to squeak another year out of them. I was hoping that we'd be able to do something to get a few more years out of them.
Specs on those computers, those things should last 3-4 years more. Again, I've got a 1.6 gig unit running with a 400 front side bus. I run SolidWorks on it. 3D imaging software, rendering huge files. No issue at all switching between Google or anything else. So then my question comes down to, are we watching, what kind of video files are they running on these things? What's going on? Because there's nothing that I see in this school district that needs that much computer power. So my question would be is, what's making it sit and spin?
I think it's a multitude of things. I mean, the hard drives, honestly, we've been replacing hard drives left and right. That's a big piece, I really think. And again, 2007 machines, I still think adding that new solid state, we didn't get the performance. I was very surprised. So
Even just opening a smart notebook can take a very long time to do. My daughter will say she's going to start her homework, and then I think she's, what are you doing? And she's just, is she waiting for it to open? Truly is. And I mean, one of her strategies to be more efficient is she uses the home computer to have Google up, to have her Google Drive, and then she'll use the laptop to have the school information so that she can work between the two machines and be more efficient at it, which I like that it's efficient for her, but I don't feel like she should have to do that on the
I
device.
agree with you. it always comes back to the same thing, is what is it, what are the requirements of what you're running? If you're just opening a program, you're not currently doing anything but opening it, why is it taking so much? And I'm not quite sure what Smart Notebook's doing when it's opening, but if it's interlacing with our safety system in the background and restricting some of the stuff it's doing and doing redundant checking on there, sure,
That's what I,
it's a possibility. But I would much rather know why it's doing what it's doing than just buy another device to say, we're buying another device. The device isn't changing too much. You're gonna get a higher front side bus, but they're not doing that much with extras on the bus, so they're gonna be making a difference. Are we editing high def video software? I don't think we're doing high def video editing at all, it's not at the same time. So, especially Google Docs or something, they do so little. You're on the internet. Once you log in, you're on the internet, you log into it. It's not really doing much on your system. So I'd like to know more technically why it's sitting spinning. There's a lot of tests that can be done on this. And I think I mentioned at the time, putting in solid state drive is not the best route to go. I think putting the original specs on there, since you got 6-7 years out of one, would be just fine. Solid state drives are so much more expensive. More RAM would be a better way to go, but I think we're maxed out now.
We're maxed out, yeah.
Yeah. Those are at 4 gig right now. So these originally were purchased to last us 4 to 5 years. That was the slated data. We're only 3 years into it. Now, I'm not trying to say I want to stick somebody with a unit nobody else wants, but the intent is the students at the younger grades use them less than the students in the middle school. And that's what they're purchased for. So I think we'd be better off trying to make it last for that. But right now, I mean, you should be able to squeeze that subset out, or you shouldn't have to put any more parts in. We're going from 2 grades down to 1 grade, right?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Mhm.
So we're good.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you ask me, we should have a lot of extra parts somewhere. We gotta be able to fix these things. Thank you.
The issue I have with it is I don't want to see us waste 20 grand for a year. That would be my thing.
Maybe
Now, if you
more than
said
that.
20 grand, we could get 3 years out of them because they're in decent shape or whatever it might be, that's a different story. But if we're gonna spend 20 just to have to turn right back around and spend 60,
What do we spend overall on the 200 plus?
Of these, we bought all 400 on these, yeah,
All right,
at $250 a piece, so.
there you go, what's that about to be? $100,000? That's some good rough estimation, huh? Everyday math. So anyways, that's 100K, we only got 3 years out of it. So we look at 20 for 1 year, that's a pretty good bang for the buck. Versus talking 33 to 30 here.
I'm sorry. That was 2 grades, yeah.
So what's the thing you wanna do?
Yeah, that's the real question. I'm not in favor of, I'm in favor of using at least 1 right here. What do you think?
solution one was what we previously bought.
Right, they're
And what they just bought.
Mhm. Both of those are Lenovo's.
Any thoughts, Delvin?
We'll let the other committee member answer.
Grant's a tech guy.
I'm torn on that one. I can see both sides. I mean, it's kind of the car that's dying type of thing. You stick money into it just to get 1 more year out of it. But I can also see when times are tight and have to spend a large chunk. So,
This coming up here is gonna be tight.
When do we have to order these back?
And then we don't have them in the definitive state. We can order it now, we'd have to get it, or we have to get them going. And
But this is going to be for next.
yes,
Problem is it falls under next year's budget.
right.
Won't be able to cost out this year's budget. That being said, you could, again, pull more money out of fund balance, but we're already pulling out fund balance for a lot of things next year. So running an extremely negative.
I only asked, I also would like to see what we're talking about. And I guess that's what when we originally proposed it, I was hoping that maybe it'll add a little conversation to see what kind of condition these things are in. And maybe let's take a look and show Dan what's happening.
Yeah, I've seen them, yeah, they're,
Right, and we can look at, what's currently happening and also.
there again, the second year, if the budget passes as is, we'll be getting more money from the state the second year too.
Yes.
So maybe you just wanna do a one-year patch on
The
it.
1 year and wait for some money to come in.
It's just, I could go either way on it. I hate throwing good money after bad. I know the batteries are seen better days.
Well, I got an issue with that too, because if you
I know,
replace all
because-
the batteries, the battery doesn't last only 2 years. So,
So is the committee, are we bringing it back for more discussion, or are we?
waiting for a solution.
I think I'd like to bring it back and let the take a look at it.
Okay.
And if we could wait another month and we don't have to make a decision, then let's not rush it, let's take a look at it. And I don't want to put teachers and students in a bad position, but I also want to put
I
us in a
agree with
bad,
that completely.
I don't want to put us in a bad position financially either. So let's take a look at them, let's see if, boot one up, open up some programs, see how it spins.
Sounds good.
What I would agree with is I wouldn't mind spending a little bit of money to get a computer tech person that's more advanced on the services side, finding out what services are running on that computer that makes it sit and spin. That would be a beneficial thing. It costs us a few $1,000s to have somebody who's forensically go through the hard drive on there. Not saying that the original layout on the computer was bad or good. I'm just saying that whatever's currently running on it now gives an estimation why it's sitting spinning. That computer's got a lot of horsepower, it's got a lot of memory, and it's got a hard drive that apparently is the fastest we're gonna get, solid state. That thing ought to be spinning no time. I mean, you ought to be able to jump between programs. Any input down there?
I like that last one.
Yeah, I think let's get more information. Obviously, there's enough, nobody's jumping one way or the other, so I think it's best to run some of these and take a look at them and see what we can do.
It's the bus speed. You can only cap out so much on that bus speed. So if your RAM is only putting out 633 megahertz of bus speed, I don't care if you have the best solid state in there. That is only, you're not going to get 1 gig, 3 gig, 6 gig out of that solid state to speed it up. That computer's capped out at so much megahertz for the processes to go through. That's all you're going to get out of that computer.
I understand.
So you're not going to get, so that computer at that time, that's all it had. Like the newer computers, like I said, you can some of those max out at 1 gig to 1.5 gigs of the bus.
Nope.
And you won't, in the hard drives, you're only, I think you're only sat on ones. So you won't even get a 1 gig throughput through all that. Like the newer ones, you can supposedly get 6, but even if they say you can get 6 gigabytes, you don't even get 6 gigabytes at all. You know what I mean, with the newer ones.
I agree.
So that's the issue with the older computers. They're old computers that just don't have a lot of speed anymore. They're only like Clarion 2s if you're lucky. A lot of them are just still single core. So
Yeah, these are definitely dual core. And the bus, I think, was 400 on this thing. But like I say, just to give you a little insight, I have a degree in computers, actually build the things.
that's fine. I mean,
But
I'm not
just saying-
arguing with you. I'm just trying to.
No, I'm not arguing, I'm just saying, I know that the specs on my current computer that I use for business are about the same as this one, and they're lightning fast. So whatever we have running and services on this thing is sucking up the RAM time. It's not a read access time on the hard drive. It's a RAM time on what we're utilizing. Are we maxing the RAM out with some other service running? And thereby our 4 gigs down to a 0.5 gig. And that's why we're constantly cycling through the hard drive or something. So I would rather know actually why it's sitting spinning, but there's nothing wrong with that computer. Should be like, put it this way, that computer's got more capability than a little iPad. So something's going on with it.
Yeah, so let's take a look.
All right, so we'll bring that back. Can you do this? Can you find out if there is somebody available that could review what's currently running on that? Tell us,
We would go, otherwise, more capable of finding out. There's definitely utilities out there that are easy enough to find out what's
I
happening.
trust they'll build it and tell us exactly what's going on.
I'd rather save that money and if we go this route to have help in the summer to fix machines with us than spend it on someone coming in.
This is what I'm looking for. If it starts spinning, like everybody says here, go to the services. Tell me what services they're running, what's taking the maximum, how much RAM is currently used. That's what I'm looking for.
I just think.
Why don't you come in and do it together, to be honest? I mean,
All right.
yeah, why don't we do that? I think we did that before in the labs too, so.
Okay. Any more on that one? All right, let's move on. We got miscellaneous updates, if any.
No, as far as the teacher machines, we talked about it in the past. I have surveys out there, just kind of, we looked at a machine and then I sent out a survey to the teachers and just kind of, hey, what do you prefer kind of thing. So we're just compiling that data and we'll have more info for you the next time.
That was an if any, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anything more here? Nothing? If any? No? Any more there? All right, in that case, we're ready to adjourn.
Thank you.